Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a very exciting update announcement. Basically, I'm here to talk about my book club, the Night Owl Book Club. The Night Owl Book Club is hosted over on my Patreon, and it's something I've been doing all throughout 2024, but it basically started a few years before that when I convinced my patrons to do a buddy read with me of a book that I'm going to show you in a minute. But it all started there. Then the next summer we did another buddy read, and then from there it just kind of trickled into an every single month thing. One thing unique to 2024 is we did these bring your own book months where I would either come up with a theme or not, and people were able to bring any book that they wanted to talk about. If it was themed, it obviously had to fit the theme. If there was no theme, they could literally talk about whatever. I love having book discussions with people. I think I'm good at book discussions because I do them over on my podcast all the time, and I've been doing book clubs for a long time, so I really do love me a good book club discussion. Outside of the book club, I host buddy reads and read-alongs of series and books, and yeah, so I wanted to go ahead and give you some background information about the Night Owl Book Club, some of the books that we have discussed in the past, and then I'm going to go over the schedule for 2025. Now, in the past, I've had my patrons vote on books, either like using emojis or just the different titles. I've done a variety of like voting, bring your own book, all kinds of things. But in 2025, I have already pre-selected all 12 books that we will be discussing in the year of 2025. And I'm going to reveal all of them for you here today, so that if you are interested in joining my Patreon and joining the book club for any of these discussions, you know when you should do that. Now, I would recommend that you sign up the month before the book discussion, because that is when I have people sign up to be in the discussion with me live on screen for Patreon. But first, I want to go through some of the past book club picks that we have done. Not all of them, but some of them. And if you join my Patreon and join the book club, you will have access to all of these past discussions in the chat and the actual live discussion that we had with other members of my Patreon. So the book that really started it all was The Measure by 𝒑𝒂𝒏𝒅. This was a very popular book and discussion in my Patreon. There are actually patrons that join later that pick up this book because of the popularity and the high average star rating that my patrons gave this book when we read it. Since it wasn't officially part of the book club yet, it's just kind of where we started. This was open to all of my patrons regardless of tier. And yeah, pretty much everybody rated this book a 4 or 5 stars. And I think I was the only 4-star, but everybody loved this book. And I think it has something in it for everyone. So this is kind of where we started. And then I just want to show you a few of the other books that you will have access to the discussions for. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I had a lot of thoughts. Two Sides to Every Murder by Danielle Valentine. This is a YA slasher that we just recently discussed in August. Of course, I had to pick my fave, Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. This was also a very popular pick, and most people rated it 4 and 5 stars. We also read a nonfiction memoir. I like switching up the genres, and you will definitely see that in 2025's book club picks. We also read The Ferryman. And this was a massive undertaking. And as soon as I pitched the book, they were very excited about it. But then when I told them how long it was, they were like, we'll do it. We'll do it only for you, Gwen. And I was like, thanks. Because I really was interested in this premise, and I really did end up enjoying this book. So yeah, we tackle big books, we tackle small books, we tackle all of the genres. And another book that we read this year was The Last Murder at the End of the World, which I also had a lot of thoughts about. So those are some of the past book club picks. Now let's move on to the book club plans for 2025. Okay, so like I said, for 2025, I have all of the books already picked out. They come from a variety of genres. There are various links, and I really hope that you guys are excited about these books as I am. I thought long and hard about what I wanted to do, and I didn't really see like a difference in participation, whether my patrons picked the books or whether I picked the books. I didn't really see a difference whether it was a backlist book or a new release. So I thought for 2025, let's focus on backlist books. I do have 2 new releases that will be coming out in 2025 because I do love new books. Who doesn't? But I really wanted to focus on books that may have been sitting on our shelves that we haven't gotten to, but also books that you could find more readily accessible at libraries, at thrift stores, used bookstores, Pango Books, things like that. And then also I want to encourage people, if they have already read the book, to reread a book. Now, I'm not saying if you've read all of these books, I want you to reread all of them. I mean, that's not the vibe. But I think there's something special about the reread, and it really hones you in on things that you may have not noticed before or picked up on the first time. So we have a variety of genres, a variety of authors, and yeah, most of them are backlist. So let's go ahead and jump into our first pick. For January, we will be reading a classic. We will be reading Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I'm very excited about this, and I'm so happy that most of my patrons seem on board to read and discuss this with me at the end of January. We always hold our book discussions for book club at the very last Sunday of the month, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's when the book discussions are held each and every month. Last Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I picked a classic because I definitely don't read a lot of classics, but I found this copy at the book exchange, and I have since gotten 2 more copies of this book because I just love collecting like special editions of classics. One I purchased, one my patron Faith sent me, and I'm actually going to use this to annotate, like highlight, tab, and then the copy that she sent me, the illustrated edition, I'm also going to flip through because it has interactive elements. So if you're wondering what the Night Owl Book Club is going to be reading in January, it's Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. In February, I decided to pick a book that I know some of my patrons have read it. Some of them have liked it. Some of them have not. But I'm challenging them to reread or read with me for the very first time my favorite book of all time, because February is my birthday. We're going to be reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Like I said, this is my favorite book of all time. I've already read it and reread it, and I plan obviously to reread it again. It's just a book that has such a special place in my heart. I had no idea going in that it was gonna be a favorite book of all time. There's just something special about the writing and the characters and the plot and the themes and the topics, and I can't wait to reread it. So yeah, I can't wait to hear what everybody thinks in February. A big topic of discussion in my Patreon is fantasy, because I definitely have a lot of members who love reading fantasy. Now, I had my fantasy moment back when I first joined BookTube, and you can definitely go back to older videos and hear me talking about many fantasy books. I figured for them, even though I don't read a lot of fantasy anymore, that I would throw a fantasy pick in the mix So in March of 2025, we will be reading Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Now, this is a young adult fantasy novel, but I'm really excited about it because I've heard nothing but great things. If I love this book and if they love this book, they will have more to read in the series. Some of them may have already read this book. I hope they decide to reread it. Maybe they need to reread it to continue in the series, but I'm looking forward to this one. And yeah, and discussing it with all of them. It is on the chunkier side, but again, it is YA, it is fantasy, it sounds exciting, so I'm ready. For April, I picked a historical fiction friendship book, Firefly Lane by Kristin Hannah. I absolutely love Kristin Hannah as an author. I've read several books by her, and I want to continue on my Kristin Hannah journey by reading this book. I love that there is a movie or a show that we can also watch and talk about. I like that it follows two friends for a few decades, and I've just heard that this is like girlhood in a book. Again, this may be a book that some people have already read, but the people that have had it on their TBR for a while, come join us, read along with us. I also have some activities throughout the year for some of these books that we will be doing as well. Like for this one, obviously, I hope that we get to start watching the adaptation finally. So yeah, join us for Firefly Lane in April. All right, May is where we get to our first new release. In May, we will be reading The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig. The cover, the title, the synopsis. Also, this is a horror pick, so I thought that would be a lot of fun. I'm just very excited about this. I don't believe I have read a book by this author before, but I'm excited to read this one. It's about a group of friends investigating the mystery of a strange staircase in the woods. It's one of my most anticipated books of 2025 because it sounds so good, so I was like, everybody's gonna read it with me. For June, I also picked a new release, and as I said at the beginning, I only picked 2 new releases for the year. So this is the last new release of 2025 that we'll be reading and discussing. One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I have read everything that this author has written. I have generally enjoyed all of it, but I'm hoping to absolutely love this one. And the cover just screams summer, and I love kicking off June, the summer months, with a summer read. So if you would like to read and discuss this new release by Carly Fortune with us, go ahead and join the Patreon, join the book club. Moving back to our backlist books, in July, we will be reading All This and More by Pink Shepherd. Really excited about this one. This is a sci-fi kind of book. It's about rewriting every mistake, and it says there's a twist. The reader gets to decide what she does next to change her fate. I don't know what that means, but I really kind of just like want to go into it and experience it with my patrons. But I absolutely love this, and this book actually released this year, so it is still fairly a new release. In August of 2025, I want to tackle Adrift by Lisa Braidu. This was on my summer reading plans this year, and I didn't get around to it. And this is like an ecological thriller that was recommended by my friend Jordan, and I just really want to read it. I think it will be a great way to end off the summer months. And yeah, so our August 2025 pick is Adrift by Lisa Braidu. Moving into the end of the year now, we have the September pick, which I have decided, since Agatha Christie's birthday is in September, every single September in my book club, we will be reading an Agatha Christie novel. So the one that we're going to be reading in September of 2025 is none other than Crooked House. I am so excited about this one. I really don't know too much, but I've heard this is like some people's favorite outside of like the big ones like Death on the Nile, and Then There Were None, Murder on the Orient Express. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book. There is an adaptation, so we will be watching that as well. But yeah, let's get pumped for some Agatha Christie. In October, we are going to actually read a middle grade novel. It's so fitting for October because it is called October October. And this is by Katja Balin, and it also has a barn owl on the cover. Like, is this cover not so cool? It also won this award. But yes, I'm very excited about this. This is definitely going to be outside of some people's comfort zone, but I'm hoping they tackle it with me in October of 2025. In November, I wanted to read a nonfiction for Nonfiction November. And when I think of November, I think about, you know, it's coming to the end of this season. I'm thinking of nature. So I decided to pick a book that also has a movie adaptation, and that is A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. I love hiking. I've always wanted to read this book, and November 2025 is the perfect opportunity to do that. So we will be reading the book, we will be watching the adaptation, and I absolutely cannot wait. And then finally in December, a book by an author I struggle to love as much as other people. I generally enjoy this author's books, but I don't have this connection that other people have to this author. But I have heard nothing but good things about this book, and I know it's going to be an emotional book. So in December, I'm hoping to tackle Beartown by Fredrik Backman. I really like the writing of Fredrik Backman. I just think it's the plot and the characters that I don't super connect to. So I'm hoping this is an outlier and that I absolutely love this book as much as other people have. So that is our final book for 2025. So these are the books that we will be tackling in 2025. Like I said, the link for my Patreon is in the description box down there. Go ahead and join so you can read and discuss all of these books with us. And yeah, that's the full schedule. I'm so excited to share it with you all. And of course, now you know, if you're interested in joining the book club, and all of my patrons that watch my videos know what the full schedule is for 2025. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you for being here. Leave the book stack emoji in the comment section down below, along with the owl emoji, because the Night Owl Book Club, of course. But that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you're all having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye, friends.